Have you ever felt like love is, well, kind of like an equation? Sometimes it just clicks, it's perfectly balanced, and other times it's a total mess. Well, today we're going to dive into this really interesting idea that every single relationship has its own formula. And if you can understand it, you can figure out if your connection is built on something solid or if you're on some seriously shaky ground. So let's just jump right in with the big question.
So what is it? What's the magic formula? How do we crack the code on what makes a relationship feel, stable and amazing instead of just draining and distant? That's really the core of what we're going to unpack here.
Well, according to the material we're looking at, it all boils down to the dance between two really powerful feelings. First, you've got the need for love, which, let's be real, is that deep down human desire we all have for affection and connection. And on the other side, you have the satiety of love. That's that awesome feeling of being totally fulfilled, seen, and loved. And how these two things play off each other, well, that pretty much sets the entire vibe for a relationship.
Okay, so first, let's look at what happens when that equation just completely breaks. The first broken model is what our source calls an inverse relationship, and it kicks off when one person's need for love is just off the charts.
And here's where it gets pretty destructive. So, picture this. Someone's need for love is sky high, but their feeling of being loved is at rock bottom. A really strange thing starts to happen. Their need is so huge, it's like a bottomless pit. They literally can't see or feel the love their partner is giving them. And all that frustration, it ends up spilling out as harshness and sometimes even cruelty. But wait, that's just one side of a very broken coin. There's a total flip side to this, a mirror image that's just as damaging. And this one happens when the need for love is basically pushed down and ignored.
In this situation, you have someone who acts like they don't need anybody, right? They put up this front of being totally self-sufficient, completely fulfilled, all on their own. But instead of big loud fights, this imbalance creates something much quieter, and maybe even worse, this deep emotional coldness. It's a whole different kind of cruelty that comes from just pure distance.
And here's the absolute bottom line. It doesn't matter which way the imbalance goes. Whether it's a desperate need that turns into harshness or a detached act that leads to coldness, the end result is exactly the same. A really, truly negative and damaging experience for everyone involved.
All right, so enough of the broken formulas. We've seen how it all goes wrong. So what does a healthy equation actually look like? This brings us to the solution, what the source calls the direct relationship. And it's all about finding that emotional balance.
In a healthy, balanced relationship, the need for love and the satiety of love are basically in sync. They move in harmony. As you can see here, they kind of rise and fall together. Look, the goal isn't to eliminate the need for love. That's impossible. We're human. The goal is for that need to be met, creating this wonderful, stable, emotional connection. And when you get that balance right, it creates this amazing, positive cycle that just keeps reinforcing itself. It's pretty simple, really. One person feels a need for connection. Their partner sees it and responds. And boom, you get mutual fulfillment, which just makes the bond even stronger. It's this healthy, beautiful, responsive loop.
Now, this next part is maybe the most powerful idea of all. In a balanced relationship, feelings like longing or needing your partner, they aren't negative. They don't cause anxiety or fights. Instead, that feeling of, hey, I miss you, actually becomes fuel for the fire. It becomes a catalyst that grows the love and pushes you both toward feeling even more connected and fulfilled.
So, we've broken down all the different parts of this emotional equation. We've seen the good and the bad. So now, the real question becomes, how do we actually use this? How do we use it as a lens to look at our own lives and our own connections?
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, imbalance is always bad news. Whether it's too much need or not enough, it leads to harshness or coldness. Second, real connection comes from balance, from partners who are actually responsive to one another. And the ultimate goal? It's for that need for love and that feeling of fulfillment to always be moving in sync.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. When you really honestly look at your own emotional connections, which formula do you see? Is it a formula of imbalance, or is it one where need and fulfillment are working together to build something incredible?